Welcome to this episode of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast. I'm Trey Rhodes, the Connections pastor at Northwood Baptist Church here in North Charleston, South Carolina. In just a few moments, our lead pastor, Dr. Tommy Medder, will be joining the conversation as well. In our crazy and chaotic world, we hope that these few minutes will help you stop and reflect on your relationship with Jesus as you learn to connect Christ-centered faith to your everyday life. And welcome to episode 220 of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast, if you're counting. And we are hoping that you are catching up if you haven't started with us from the beginning. And Pastor, we've been doing this a long time. It's exciting to see that.
It's been a while.
And it's great to see people continuing to listen, continuing to join, continuing to be a part. And we appreciate you doing that. So get out there, invite your friends and family, text them. Get on your whatever social media you use, and use it well, by the way. And that way you can introduce other people to Connecting Faith to Life.
Yeah. Do you use social media well, Pops?
I don't use it as much as I used to. I just don't have time. But, it takes time to use social media, and I don't have a lot of that anymore. So I do what I can.
You do what you can.
I just kind of keep up and hit like signs a lot. So.
You like people. It's a job to keep up with social media.
It is, and I've got you probably have very similar. I got almost 1,400 people following me. So
because you're so popular.
Nah, it's just I've been doing it forever.
The older you are,
and pretty much everybody. When they say that, can I be your friend? I say sure.
Because you're such a friendly guy. That's why you're our Connections pastor.
I guess so.
Because you're such a friendly guy.
I guess so, Pastor.
Hey, you've been at Northwood now for, 6 years?
Almost 6. It'll be 6, I guess, yeah. Getting close to 6 anyway. Maybe 5.5, 8 months, whatever it is. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
Yeah. So
you're still connecting people.
I'm still trying. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you do a great job. Hey, so we've got Jonathan Edney with us today, Pop. So Jonathan Edney is a dear friend of ours.
He is.
If you're part of the Northwood family, you probably see him around a good bit because he pastors the Brazilian church that meets on our campus. And not only does that, he also heads up through the Brazilian church, ESL, English as a Second Language, that meets on our campus, which we have some of our people are involved in that on a weekly basis, and that's a labor of love because that's work.
It certainly is.
That's work. But they're ministering to quite a few internationals, and so I thought it'd be fun to have him on
this is great.
Podcast today to talk about not only the work that God is doing in the Brazilian church, but also the work that God is doing in the international community, because the international community in our area is just exploding. So we have people from all over the world that are calling Charleston home. We have, a few years ago when there was a crisis in Afghanistan,
right?
We have a lot of refugees that have come from that country who are now in the Charleston area, and I know Jonathan works with some of those as he's teaching them English as a second language, and just a lot going on.
Yeah, so it's exciting to see it
it's
going
good, and we're hoping and praying that as the days move forward, that Jonathan's ministry will be even more fruitful, and that we'll be able to support him well as they call Northwood their home base of ministry and minister off of our campus. And we want people to engage the ministry with him. So, be a good conversation.
Yeah, so Brazilians speak Portuguese. So for those that don't know that, and it's Brazilian Portuguese. And we used to do a broadcast at Transworld Radio when I was there, and it was Brazilian Portuguese that we broadcast into Africa because of Mozambique and other places that did not quite speak European Portuguese. So it helped a lot to have that kind of language over there. So interesting little story. But we're going to let Jonathan tell us a little bit about his church.
How's your Portuguese, Pops?
It's terrible.
Ask, man. I need you to tell everybody the name of the church.
Yeah, I tried so hard. I'm not even going to try on air, but I tried so hard to do it, and he tried to convince me to do it, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let him say the name of the church and tell us what it's about a little bit. So go ahead, brother.
In Brazilian Portuguese. Well, thank you guys for having me this morning.
Yeah, man.
It's quite the pleasure, and thank you for hosting the Brazilian church here on Northwood campus. The partnership has been beautiful, and so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, because y'all been on our campus for 3 years now?
3 years, yeah. We just celebrated 3 years in September. That's right. That's right.
And it's grown a lot. I remember the first Sunday you guys were here.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of us Americanos and a few Brazilians, and that was it.
That's right. That's right. We had about eight or 10 Brazilians, my family, and about 50 pastors who wanted to see what was going on.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is great.
Yeah. But now you don't have many of us pastors attending.
Now we're the only Americans there. My family is
so, which is really cool.
That are coming.
So backstory. Okay, so you launched the church on our campus 3 years ago, but you and your family had served in Brazil for how many years? I forget. 5, 6?
Just under 10 years.
Under 10, because it was that long. It was 10 years you guys were there. Yeah. Had to come back to the States for some various reasons, and have planted yourself here, but still a heart for the Brazilians, and that's what led you to pastor the Brazilian church. So give us the backstory. You were with our International Mission Board 10 years in Brazil. Kind of remind us how you ended up in Brazil.
Well, we'd like to say the joke is the IMB tricked us. But no, the IMB is a blessing, and we definitely are saying, don't be naughty, give to Lottie.
Right.
So we loved our time with the IMB.
Been paying Lottie all for years.
That's right. Yeah. Right. One of these years we're going to get her paid off. But we joined the IMB with just that heart for the nations. It really began here in Charleston.
Because you grew up in this area.
I did. I grew up in Somerville. I went to Trident Tech, went to CSU, grew up in this area, went to Somerville High School under John McKissick. But yeah, so local guy. But then I realized Spanish is going to be a really good tool to have in my tool belt. So going through college, I started taking Spanish and noticing how many folks were speaking Spanish in restaurants and at jobs, and tying that together with my faith that was growing during college. Was going, hey, I can use Spanish in order to reach my new neighbors or see what God wants to do with that. And he took me overseas. So then the IMB did ask, hey, I know you know Spanish, but as you're considering moving your family, we have need to reach UUPGs, unreached and unengaged people groups in Brazil, just across the border. So you might use Spanish, but you also might need to learn Portuguese. And so that started a journey of learning another new language in order to share the gospel in Brazil.
And when you were in Brazil, what city were you guys in?
Mainly in Manaus. We moved a couple times. We were in the jungle most of the time, but the city of Manaus, if you look that up on the map, it's a city of 3 million, but there's no way to get there except for by boat or by plane. So it's locked up in the jungle. It's beautiful.
So yeah, you guys were on the Amazon and just doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
On the Amazon, and we need to get you down there because I know you like to fish, because there's some wonderful fishing and there's some beautiful people that need to hear the gospel.
Piranha, right?
Yes, there's piranha and peacock bass. There's all kinds of good fish that are only found in the Amazon.
Yeah, we need to take a road trip.
That'd be quite the road trip.
Quite the road trip.
Yeah. I know we've talked about that before, but that'd be because you guys haven't been back, or you have been back since you came home.
Only back to close down the house.
Yeah. Okay. So you came back here after 10 years of ministry, and that was a big transition for your family, because I know you guys had some ambitions to be there a bit longer, and just because of circumstances had to get back here and those kind of things. But you came back here still with a heart for the Brazilian community, and you knew that in Charleston, it's a growing community of Brazilian people.
It is. So yeah, we came on medical leave in 2020, early 2020, about 3 weeks before the world shut down. It was loads of fun.
Yeah, so made just in time.
It was glorious.
Yeah.
And so that did prohibit some of our healthcare access, but also our access to get back into Brazil. And so we were saying, all right, what now, Lord? Yeah. We're here in the U.S., we're here in the middle of a pandemic, and we want to hear your voice. At that same time, some of the churches in the association here were saying, hey, we notice the Hispanic community and the Brazilian community and the international community are growing, and we need more folks who are willing to jump into that.
So for those who are listening who just aren't necessarily aware of the different ethnic communities that are represented around the Charleston area, the Brazilian community, it has grown pretty significantly in our area, especially in our area, like North Charleston, Goose Creek.
Absolutely.
Do you have any idea contributing to factors as to why that community has exploded so much in the Charleston area?
It really was already big, but in 2008 with the housing crash, a lot of folks had to go in different directions and left the Charleston area, and so it's rebounding now. In 2020, we were looking at probably about 4,500 Brazilians that were here, mainly in the Goose Creek area and in North Charleston. That's since doubled in the last few years. Gracious. And some of that can be tied to different administrations coming in politically and then the feeling about whether the border is open or not. But for why Charleston? That's always my question, whether it's at the Brazilian church or new kids that are coming to the ESL kids, students that are coming for English classes. So what made you decide on Charleston? What made you decide on Goose Creek? And generally, I had some sort of contact that I knew I could trust. Mm-hmm. Someone that could actually kind of give me some orientation about how to live here, maybe a job, maybe how to get a house. And so that'll just build community really quickly. And why Charleston on top of that is, yes, it is a good place to live.
Yeah,
I mean, we like our city. It's easy to get a job in construction. So if you're working in flooring, if you're working in framing, you're working in shingles, doing even concrete work or remodeling your bathroom, you're likely to be working with a Brazilian around here.
Yeah, for sure.
And so construction's easy. Tourism's a big deal for our city as well. So we need help with cleaning hotels and cleaning our Airbnbs. And so it's easy for folks to get into the day labor trade here. And so if I have some contacts and I know I can get some Brazilian groceries up on Red Bank, then I can come and make a life here for myself.
Yeah. And if you're interested in some Brazilian groceries, there's 2 really good restaurants on Red Bank. I can't think of the one's the steakhouse.
Yeah,
I only know of 2 because that's where I've been with you.
So I'm sure you need to go find some others. There was another new one that has opened since then. So where we said 2020 that the population is about 4,500 of Brazilians. The Goose Creek mayor just this year, a couple months ago, said that the population of Goose Creek is probably about 20% Brazilian now.
That's wild.
20% of the whole town of Goose Creek is Brazilian. And so that would push our numbers closer to 9,000 plus of just Brazilians and not Spanish speakers in the Goose Creek area. So there's another grocery store that opened up further down Red Bank, and another restaurant that's opened up that's all Brazilian owned and Brazilian ran. Yeah.
Well, I know the first place you took me at, it was restaurant / grocery. What's the name of that place? I can't.
Delicias, you mean?
Yes. That's a good place.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Yeah. And then we went to the steakhouse. Yeah. We've gone a couple of times. I can't think of the name of it either because I can't pronounce any of it. But
Xangoiano.
What he said.
It looks like CHAO for all those listening and want to get some good food.
Yeah, so if you want a Brazilian steakhouse experience, that's the place to go. Because there's one downtown that's nice and very expensive. This one's expensive, but it's not near as expensive as the one downtown.
Third the price,
it's third, and it's good. Like it's.
Is this one in Goose Creek now?
Yeah, it's like all you can eat steak. I mean, that's a dream come true.
I'm headed up there for lunch.
Right, it's all you can eat. I mean, it's like $25. Really, I think inflation is probably a little more now, but when we first opened, it was like $25 all you can eat.
Yeah.
All you can eat steak. It's amazing.
I watched a whole show on how to go to one of these places.
You just go there and give me the steak.
Yeah,
but there's all kinds of different cuts.
I don't want bread. I don't want lettuce. I want steak.
I'm here for the meat. You're leaving a meat coma. It's wonderful. So, but anyway, so we have this growing population. And backstory, so 3 years ago, we planted the Brazilian church on our campus. Jonathan led that effort. And because there are Brazilian churches in our community, but really not a lot of Baptistic Brazilian churches, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we do have a few Assemblies of God and some Pentecostal churches, and then there's some ministry at the Church of the Nazarene in Goose Creek. Mm-hmm. But no, they're not doctrinally aligned with us, and so there's no Baptist work, no Presbyterian work, or even Lutheran work, and so it was minimal and no Baptistic work at all.
So we had a Charlestonian, an American white boy, planting a Brazilian church.
That's incredible.
Let's do it.
Tell us about that. That's a little bit odd.
It is a little bit odd. It is definitely in the line with cross-cultural ministry for us going and learning a different language and learning about a different culture and saying, hey, I want to express the gospel and the whole counsel of scriptures in your heart language in a way that you'll understand it. And so that does take some weird effort to say, hey, I want to know how you tick. What's your worldview? How's your point of view on life? And how can I not change the gospel by any means, but help explain the Bible in such a way that really applies to your life. Connects faith to life.
Right. I like that.
Wow.
We should do that well. Yeah, we should. So help us to understand. So I pastor Northwood, and Northwood is made up mostly of people who are, I was going to say Native Americans, but that's not right.
Well, we are Americans, and we're
made up of people who live in the United States, who are from the United States, just regular folk. And so how I pastor my church is a little bit different because I'm not reaching necessarily a group of people that have immigrated here from another land and all those kinds of things. They're welcome here, but that's not typically who shows up. And so tell us the challenges of pastoring a church where you're pastoring people who've immigrated from another land compared to what I do. What's different, and what are the challenges?
Wow. Big question.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Because,
That's what I do. Good questions.
It's good questions. Good questions. Because there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
We often say that folks can come into the Brazilian church 6:00 Sunday night here on campus and have a little bit of that international experience, but you'll probably recognize a lot. Because some of the structure of what we do in church, we want to maintain. We want to say, hey, we're being biblically faithful. So sometimes I just say, hey, we're not going for American culture here. We're not going for Brazilian culture. We're trying to find that healthy middle of saying Bible culture.
That's right.
And saying we're going to stick to the scripture. So there's some things that just look straight familiar. There's some songs that you would say, hey, that's my favorite hymn that they just translated. And so there's a lot that's very similar. But for how do we minister, one of the biggest things is in the different worldviews and different cultures is how we view time and space. And so one of the big differences that we would see instantly is if you come into our congregation, you come into that chapel on Sunday evening, you're going to get a hug, not a handshake. Because we view space different, we view relationship different. And the Brazilians are very passionate, and they're going to want to love on you well. They're going to want to receive you well even as a guest. So guest services, let's start a hugging ministry.
I do a lot of hugging already.
There you go.
So I'm half Brazilian, must be.
Yes, I love it. That's awesome.
I welcome, even when they come up front, I get the comment that you always hug people when they come. Come to the front. I said, yep, that's right.
Okay, now we need an air cheek kiss. So just that little side
air cheek. Explain that.
You put your cheek next to the cheek, and you give a little kiss to the air.
Okay.
Yeah, a little Latin American, Brazilian.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure we're ready for that yet.
It's not the French thing though, where you kiss the cheek.
Depending on what part of Brazil you're from, there is kissing on the cheek. There's kissing next to the cheek. There's kissing two cheeks.
Okay.
And so you have to wonder what region, because Brazil is the 5th largest country in the world.
Yeah.
The different regions actually do have different practices on that. And so, greeting one another with a holy kiss takes on a whole new meaning.
I think we'll stick with our American ways on saying morning.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
I don't know about the kissing thing quite yet.
But it helps to understand. Like you start to see, oh, that's why this is, and if I don't greet with a hug and I've got 6 feet between me and I'm trying to give a high five, they're going, does this person not like me?
Right.
And so it helps me to understand, like, okay, this is why they do that, and this is why it's different, but okay, and just in how they understand the space and the community amongst us. Like we're just a huggy people. For time, I'm not sure that I have ever started a church service on time, just because relationship is more important than time. So if I've got really good, again, we'll go back to our welcome center. If I'm in a really good conversation, like, I'm not going to stop just to start
because it's
something
time
on
to start something else.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so the relationship is more important. And I would actually seem rude if I said, hey, let's stick to the watch.
Yeah.
We had some indigenous brothers. We worked a lot with indigenous up in the jungle and going to the tribes. And he said, man, you folks from outside, white man, whether you're Brazilian or from the States, the indigenous, we call you the white man. He said, the white man has all kinds of watches and nothing of time.
Wow.
Because you don't have time for me.
Well, that's profound. Yeah, that's true.
I was like, man, I've got to live that different. And so how we pastor, how we preach has to reflect some of those things of community, of hugginess, of relationship is more important than time. And all of a sudden I'm starting to preach just a little different.
Yeah.
The way I communicate and the way I connect with them as pastor, not just preacher, means as much as the sermon.
Yeah.
Now, we would argue as pastors and preachers, I need that scripture. But how I relate to one of my congregants also matters.
So as an American who's pastoring a Brazilian church, how has the Brazilian community received you and your family?
We get that weird advantage of, yes, we are Americans. And so they know that we're not one of those Brazilians. We're not in the same culture. And so we get a little bit of different grace in that we don't act exactly the same as their culture. But at the same time, there's a really good reception amongst the Brazilian community because I'm trying.
Because you're trying. That's
I'm
right.
trying to know them, and I'm showing that interest and that care for them and their background and their story, and so that gains me a lot of confidence and love.
Yeah, because I'm sure,
so,
right?
He actually cares about.
Yeah, for that Brazilian family that comes to the States for whatever reason, they're not running into that a lot.
No, if we're maintaining our space and you do your life and I do my life and don't get in front of me, that seems extremely rude to them because they're used to, hey, come be my family, come be my new family, my adopted family, and so if we don't show that, we can actually, without meaning to, communicate a wrong message.
Yeah, so in your family, they found an American family that's embracing them and their culture and trying to live among them in their cultural norms, right?
That's right.
Yeah, cool.
That's right.
So and you guys have seen some success. You started with 50 pastors, and but now you're 50, 60, 70 people that are coming on Sunday evenings, Brazilians.
Yeah,
and
we're
you've
on
seen
a
people come
regular
to
right
faith
now,
in
about
Christ.
80 people.
80 people. Okay, well,
Yep.
that's huge. That's a Brazilian megachurch.
Basically.
Yeah,
really,
it is. It really is.
That if you know, if you play the fun games that the North American Mission Board or even IMB would teach us about church planning and how to do that well, if we got to 2% of a people group, that would be less of a priority for the IMB.
Right.
To say that people group is not reached, but not unreached.
That's right.
Anymore. And so, man, if we can say there's 9,000 Brazilians in Goose Creek and 10% are members of our local church, praise God, and we got a little bit of a mission force that can go and make a great impact in our community.
Absolutely. And so part of the way that you guys have been able to impact community through the Brazilian church is through ESL.
Yes.
So just kind of briefly talk to me about ESL, how that came about. I mean, and that's obviously reaching far more than Brazilians. It's reaching Brazilians, but it's reaching others too. Just kind of, and again, our people are involved in that. We want to see more of our people involved in that as the days move forward. Talk to us about ESL and how you got into that and what you see God doing there.
Some of our heart has been doing the opposite of what happened to us. So we moved to Brazil. I didn't speak Portuguese, had some Spanish, and was 7 months pregnant, or my wife was, when we showed up in Brazil with our second son. And so we had great needs, and we had health care. You know, we needed to have a baby, and so we needed to know all these different rules of the road and the culture and the language, and we're learning from zero. It just felt like babies trying to learn life again. And there were kind people that cared for us. There was kind doctors that tried to figure out how to translate for us. And then we had to learn Portuguese. And it was difficult, but we did it. And so we just knew, coming the opposite direction, that was going to need to be a real need that we could help with here. That if folks, whether they've come this way or that way, or this visa or that visa, or this country or that country, they've come through some trauma, so they need some compassion, and they probably didn't come with a ton of English.
Right.
And so can we meet a real need through English classes to help these people, as well for us as the church, is not only we're meeting a real need and helping their quality of life, helping them actually be a good part of society here, but we have the opportunity to preach the gospel to a ton of nations that are now living in Charleston, to say, hey, you haven't heard about my Jesus yet. So let me teach you English, yes, and let me pray for you. Let me introduce you to Jesus. And so it's definitely a ministry to meet a real need, as well as gain access to preaching the gospel to the nations.
So one of our church members, Hannah, has been real faithful to kind of lead that effort with you. And you've seen that multiply. I mean, we do it here on our campus, but there's some other ESLs within the community that you guys have been able to help start up. You're moving into some corporate ESLs, right? You're doing some business, if you will, with McDonald's. I mean, so it's really blossomed into, a very wide stretching ministry in our area, and will continue to. So talk to us about, so on Thursday night, that's when you have ESL on our campus, and on a typical Thursday night, how many internationals are coming to be a part of what's going on Thursday nights?
Yeah. We like to say in church planning, sometimes you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what will stick.
Right.
And so I tried to start an ESL, English for second language ministry here, and had like 5 guys showing up, and it just kind of flopped. And I was like, okay, Lord, what do we need to do to kind of revamp this idea of ESL? And that's when the Browns moved to Northwood about that same time. And you and Logan helped connect us and saying, hey, let's do something a little bit more organized. Let's try this. And so it was a huge blessing, and just in the right time when Afghanistan was closing its war, and we were going to get refugee services opened up in Charleston again. And so here we had this huge need, and we had people ready to try to organize that. So yes, we started on one night a week. We said, we'll just decide on that. We know we're asking a lot of volunteers, so let's pick one night a week. Let's advertise by mouth alone that we do have this available. Let's use this book. And so we just kind of put some structures together of saying this is what it would look like, and maybe we can have 50 students. We've now registered over 400 students in the last 2.5 years. Not everybody sticks, because it is a ministry. It's not a school program. It's a volunteer program. We really focus on conversation practice a lot. But on an average Thursday night, there's an average of 90 people from different nations that are here on campus to learn English.
So outside of the Brazilian community, what was the largest group of internationals that are here?
Venezuelans. We have a ton of Venezuelan refugees that have come to town.
Yeah.
But on a given night, there's at least 12 different nationalities that are represented here. We have Syrians, Afghans, Ukrainian refugees are now getting resettled here in Charleston. Cuban, we have a few Cuban families that are coming. I love those Cuban families. They're so passionate. They're sweet people.
Yeah.
Yes, some from Mexico, Honduras, and different parts of Latin America.
So for that person who says, man, Jonathan, that sounds really amazing that on our campus we have 12 different nationalities that are typically represented here on Thursday night. I would love to be involved in that, but I can barely speak English well, much less a second language. How do you help that person understand that there's a place for them to serve, even if the only language they know is English?
Yeah. That is actually ideal.
Yeah.
To only do it in English. We want to create an environment where the students actually do have a safe landing place to come and practice. Comfortable people, kind people who are willing to actually talk with our students. So you don't have to have a variety of these different languages. You don't have to speak Portuguese or Farsi or whatever. English is good, and English is what we're trying to help them with. So a kind smile and a warm embrace and a little bit of English can go a long ways. And we don't know how these small little seeds that are getting planted all over, how much that fruit is going to produce there. So that is one encouragement. Practically, though, we have a variety of ways that folks can get plugged in. So they said, hey, I don't have the gift of teaching at all. And so, yes, I can speak English, but I can't really lead a classroom setting. We want volunteers that can sit in the classroom, just be a runner. That can go make copies, that can just be practice. We try to make practice a part of every classroom. We actually run 12 different classrooms based off of fluency level. And so you can plug in and just say, hey, I'm here if I need to be a guinea pig in the classroom. If you want to use me as an example for what we're about to do in this conversation, I'll count me in. I'll just be a guinea pig or a runner. We have a children's ministry. Basically, we're keeping the kids in the chapel. So if folks need to drop their kids off, so you can come and practice your English with children. You could be a runner. You could be a teacher. You could drive the van. We have a lot of our refugees that don't have a ride, and we actually go pick them up down Ashley Phosphate and down rivers a little bit, and we actually provide transportation for some of our refugee families so they can come get English practice.
So how are you seeing on Thursday nights with all the ministry you're doing, helping these folks to understand the English language? What about receptivity to the gospel? How's that going?
It's been mixed.
Yeah.
It's been mixed. We have seen some hesitancy, especially from our Muslim friends, that they're saying, hey, we don't know if we can even come to English class if you're going to try to proselytize or evangelize us. So there is some hesitancy, but we're trying to express like, hey, during English class, we're teaching you English. If you would like to talk about spiritual things, this is my religion. I would love to have more conversation with you, but please don't
not come because you think I'm going to try to just convert you.
Please.
I mean, we want them to be converted, obviously. That's but you want them to have a safe place to come as well, and praying that the doors will open for gospel conversations.
And that allows for relationship to be built and trust to be built. And so when we're able to give them a ride, when we're able to spend time with them, when we're able to show concern for them as a genuine human being created in the image of God, it speaks volumes to them, and we're praying for those open doors to say, hey, let's talk about spiritual. I don't think any of our Middle Eastern or Central Asian folks are opposed to having a spiritual conversation. It just needs to be with good compassion.
Right. That's right.
And so that's been the only kind of pushback.
Yeah.
For other communities, when we're expressing this much concern and care for another person and saying, hey, I genuinely want friendship with you. I genuinely care about you. We've done in the last couple of years a Friendsgiving for Thanksgiving where our students are invited to be adopted and go have Thanksgiving dinner in someone's home. Imagine that relationship, even though the conversation is minimal because of the language barrier. But to have an Afghan in your home and to share a meal and to try to share that concern, man, the relationship can go deep, and we pray for gospel opportunity in that. So, no, it's been sweet.
Good. So ESL is on Thursday nights at 6 o'clock is when you guys get started.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay, I'm an hour off. 7 o'clock. So if someone's listening and they want to get involved and be a part of ESL, what do they do?
we'd just say show up.
Show up.
You can contact the office and talk to Morgan or me or Hannah and just say, hey, this is my intention. So you can contact the church office. But we're not opposed to folks just showing up and saying, hey, I want to try. I'm not ready to teach.
Yeah.
Or I just
let me see what it's about, and let me try a little bit. And
we'd love that idea. That's what's blossomed into these other churches. We said, hey, we've invited other churches to come see and watch and try so that they can repeat. And so, yes, we've helped 2 other churches kind of get their ESL more organized and going around town. So there's 2 other nights of the week, just at different locations. But the students use the same book that we use now, so that they have lots of opportunities to practice and more contact with other churches. So, you can just show up and we'll say, hey, we'll help you plug into a volunteer spot.
Good. So there's lots of need. Think about 90 people being on our campus. We need help with ESL and get people plugged in. So if you're listening and want to be a part of that, and you're part of the Northwood family, just come.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, thank you for being here. And you want to mention your family real quick before you go and say hello to them?
Of course. I met my lovely wife, Rebecca. We've been married for 17 years, and we have 3 lovely kids. Benjamin's 14, Matthew is 12, and Gabriella, the princess, is 8.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for committing to do this here. While it's just interesting, you come back here and to see God use you here with Brazilian people has just been glorious. It really has been wonderful to see it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for being here. And Pastor, why don't you close us out and get us ready for next week?
Thanks, John, for being here. We really appreciate you sharing with us this morning. I think it's really helpful and encouraging. Hey, if you've enjoyed this podcast day, if it's been helpful for you, hit that subscribe button so you can have new content delivered to your device every single week. Leave us a 5-star review. That helps us get word out about the podcast. And as always, we hope today's episode has helped you connect faith to life.